Welcome to Toffee TV. Well, there's been a lot going on this week within the Everton fan base. We heard the cheers or the calls to sack the board against Brighton. A lot of angry people out there. A lot of people who want some kind of direction in where we go as a football club and as a fan base going forward. We saw the magnificent scenes at the end of last season. Blue smoke. Ironically, which is now banned. Blue smoke and magnificent bus welcomes, great atmospheres, flags, all the rest of it. Well, that's all gone away a little bit, hasn't it, of late? But we can still harness that power, I think, and we've got Zack with us from NSNOW, who is he's going to try and do that. Hopefully, he smirks a little bit. But tell us a little bit, Zack, about NSNOW and what's been going on with it.
Yeah, so over the last, I guess, it's about 2 weeks since the 27 campaign, which changed into NSNOW, NSNOW, however you want to say it, it's absolutely fine. All it is a nice play on NSNO and that we want it now. And that's what really we feel, I feel and we feel like it's a message that everyone can get behind, everyone wants. We have a nil Saturn is the optimum on the chest for a reason. It's not just, like we always say, it's not just a motto. It's the standard we expect. And I feel like that is a message that everyone can get behind. Surely everyone wants the best for Everton. And it's not, how we do that is the harder bit to figure out. And it's not for us or any one group to say, oh, this is the only way that you can support this, because it's the only way that you can demand better for the club. But I do think that a united fan base behind a message of wanting better, and we all must, because, dear me, we're in some. It's been awful. I mean, I'm 28. I'm 29 next week, and what have I seen really? Like, I've seen good times, as Bill would say.
Good times,
but
yeah.
Me granddad would tell me all about the real good times that we've had, and it's definitely not what we're doing now. So I feel like as a fan base, look, we saw last year, and I'm not going to be as eloquent as a lot of people who I've heard speak over the last couple of days, but somebody put on a video on Twitter before that I saw saying, we're not a yo-yo club. We're not fans that expect to be up and down. We've had 30 years, if you just talk about the Premier League, in the Premier League, with all the benefits that brings, yet we still find ourselves down in the mire again, as we were last year. And as a set of fans, we showed last year. I've never seen scenes like what we made last year. We've seen other big clubs go down, Newcastle go down, West Ham go down, and all right, West Ham had a few little protests a few years ago and stuff, and they've actually driven a bit of change, although they're not having a good time at now. But I think you've never ever seen a fan base drag a team the way that we dragged that team last year.
Absolutely.
And I think it was a shame almost that the relief of staying up, almost, it's easy, innit? As soon as the summer comes around, you just want to forget. Or I was guilty. I just wanted to forget that season never happened. Went away on holiday, got some sun, and then you come back for the next season and you think, well, I can't. You want to give them a chance then, don't you? You want to say, all right, well, it's a new season. Let's get going and see how we're going. So,
no, listen, you're absolutely right. That one of my big bugbears and worries at the end of that, certainly was the fact that it all went away. For me, I thought any campaign should have been banging the drum all summer. It should have started the day after the Arsenal game. It should have started on the Arsenal game, really. Yeah. But you're right. Listen, as a fan base, we were all just absolutely sick of it. I can't accuse anybody of not doing something when I didn't do something myself. We all wanted a break. We all wanted the rest. And before you knew it, the new season started. You have high hopes. You want to get behind the club. You want to get behind the manager. You want to get behind new players, and you want to hope that it's going to be, because that's what drives us all, isn't it? Hope. Wouldn't go the match otherwise. No. You literally, like buying fireworks, you're setting fire to money.
Yeah.
It's.
We all hope, as much as you've got to be realistic about where you're going to finish every year. every year I hope we win it. That's
Yeah,
the whole,
yeah. Well, you
the
hope
whole reason I watch it.
You hope you
There's
see,
some, you know, some
Yeah.
beauty in it,
Yeah.
something. That's all we ever go for.
Just going back to the origins of the 27 campaign. Obviously, we saw just over a year ago. We saw the walkout against Arsenal, the attempted walkout against Arsenal. We've seen different things happen, and obviously people trying to make things happen. But for me, you know, I think the campaign really just faltered because it couldn't get enough people behind the message, because I don't think the message ever got out there properly. There was never any, listen, it's great that you're here, because this is the first time I've ever been able to speak to someone sitting on a couch about the campaign.
About the whole thing.
There's never been a public face to it.
No.
And, you know, I've publicly said this on the show, is that you have to have a public face. You have to have someone who's going to bring the fans together and not alienate fans.
No.
And anyone who's doesn't want to be part of it, you say, fine, no worries, mate. But thanks for showing some kind of...
Exactly. I put a tweet out yesterday. I know User got a little bit of stick as well. That we released that letter, and people just kicking off that certain groups or people or whatever hadn't signed onto the letter. It doesn't, just because someone doesn't sign or agree to whatever we do, I know you have now and signed up, doesn't mean that they don't want change or they're supporting the board, or maybe they are, but it doesn't, for me, that doesn't mean that they deserve any sort of hate. They're supporting the club. They're doing things the way they think will get the best results, and that's fine, as long as we're all pulling for this. Well, we are all pulling for the same thing. We all want Everton to be the best, and that's
because obviously, you know, you might be able to tell us better than me and what has changed. To me, it seemed like a little secret club. It seemed like a load of people on a WhatsApp group who were all having a moan together, and anyone who wasn't involved was therefore the enemy and then was getting grief. That's not a way to run a campaign. You've got to win hearts and minds on anything. If someone disagrees with you, you've got to be prepared to say, okay, mate, thanks for listening, and you know, just keep doing what you're doing, supporting Everton or whatever. And I think that's for me where it went wrong. How are you looking to change that kind of atmosphere?
Well, yeah, I think going back to that originally, I think it's tough with, you know, we're all just fans at the end of the day. Most people in that group aren't, you know, like yourself, you do this for a living, you come in every day and talk, and you're, as we've already discussed, you're quite professional about how you do it. A lot of the people in that are just fans, and it was a very quick, I think, as we saw everything happening last year and us obviously getting dragged lower and lower down the league, there was a very quick response to try and form something. And I think when you have a quick response to anything, there's always going to be things that don't quite go right, or, you know, you could do better or whatever. And I'm sure people would hold their hands up and say, you know, this was not quite right, or that wasn't, or whatever. The way that we want to change it essentially and going forward is the only way, as we showed last year, that we can really do anything to affect the club is united, as a united fan base. We united last year, and every single one of those fans, whether you were at the ground, whether you were just watching at home supporting, whether you're in Australia, Thailand, wherever, every single one of you kept that team up last year.
Yeah, exactly.
There was no doubt in my mind that without what we did, we're playing Championship football this year. And I don't think the way the club is set up, we would be doing what Burnley are doing, for example. We would be struggling in that league as well, in my opinion. So I think uniting everyone behind, and not everyone is going to agree, and that's fine. For me, that is absolutely fine. I just want as many people as agree with what we've put out, and what as a lot of fan groups now who've signed up to this letter have put out, to get behind it and to try and just affect some positive change at the club, because right now we're giving the same people the same chance to make the same mistakes. I mean, it's the definition of insanity in it to do the same thing over and over again, expect it to be different. Like, there's only so many things you can change at a football club to actually make a difference. There's the owner, the board, the leadership group below that, the executives, and then the manager and the players, which is a bit harder to do.
Yeah, but it starts
right
down.
at the top, at the top. And for me, they've had, even if we just look at Mashiri's time, there's been 8 managers or so. You can't just keep saying, oh, well, we need another manager. This one wasn't quite right. We need another one. He didn't do this right, or he didn't do that. And then the next one comes in, and progressively, I mean, I don't know, I've not even looked, but I would imagine that the last 8 managers we've had would probably rank in the bottom 10 to 15 of our all-time managers, like right down at the bottom. I don't think many of them are up near the top. And I think, really, we can't just allow them to keep making the same mistakes. At some point, they've got to look at themselves making those decisions and say, why does this keep going wrong? Why are things not changing? We've got the money. We've got the support, for one. I mean, there's other clubs that try and do this without that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we've got the support. We've got the money. Well, we had the money. I know that's... It's sort of been thrown away a little bit, but...
But Premier League clubs have proved that money can be no object if you do things the right way.
I mean, even as much as I don't really like them, but Newcastle, they've spent, but they've not. You can't say they've gone. They signed Alexander Isaac, but he's been injured, and their turnaround is a turnaround in the culture. At the
they're
club.
not even. I mean, that's not even the biggest example. You Brighton, and Brentford are the biggest examples.
So see that somebody put a picture up of where Brighton were paying 10 years ago.
Yeah.
A tiny little
Brighton's whole team cost less than Alex Iwobi. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know about Everton. Yeah. I mean, that game was such a... I think everyone has used that example. I've seen people like Ian Wright and Alan Shearer and others talk about and say, these two clubs are the yin and yang. Yeah. One is doing it completely wrong and threw money at it, thinking that was going to solve the problem. And Brighton have done it completely the correct way, and look at the difference in football. But within the structure of... I mean, what is the structure of NS now? Because it's just... The 27 campaign, it was... a clever title. I didn't like the title because to me it just meant for me it was like, well, you're going to change it again next year. Yeah. I think you've done well to change the name and maybe make it a bit broader in terms. And it sounds more professional if you ask me. But what's the structure? What's the hierarchy? How can people get involved? You know, because again, not to accuse you of anything, but there's like, again, it's that thing of like people on the outside. Evertonians, right, don't like being told. And don't like being told anything. They don't like the media telling them what's going on. They don't like me telling them what's going on. They don't like anyone else telling them what's going on. They don't like the national media. They have their own opinions, and that's great. And it's like, well, you're not budging me. So, as I said, it's about winning hearts and minds. And 27 campaign to a lot of people. You know, I look at Twitter and I look at different stuff, and I listen and I look at the comments that we get. And it felt like a little secret society. I'm not saying it was. I'm just saying that's what I know people who are involved in it. They're absolutely amazing people. They're the same people who helped with the atmospheres. They're the same people who created that. So they're not, these are good people. These are Evertonians that go everywhere. But from the outside, it felt like a little secret society with the people having chats on WhatsApp groups and then going down to the live buildings and doing things, and then fans going, well, why didn't we do that? So what is the structure?
Well, I mean, there's a group of... There's been a few people coming over the last few days. Probably around about 10, I think, now. People, we are more than open to anyone who wants to.
But do those people have designated roles? Do those people...
No.
Is that not something you need to sort of address? Because this is one of the things that I think, again, people will look at is that will say, hang on, right, this, again, it's great going, you've got members, you've got people on board, but where's the structure? I mean, this is the first time I've ever sat down to someone who is, you know, the face of it or whatever. I mean, what is your role within it?
I'm more than happy to take on being the face, as much as it's not the best looking face.
No, that doesn't matter.
I will be the face of the campaign, and I said that from the start. I would always be the face of whatever, because I believe in this passionately. It's the club that matters to me, and I would be the face of any other campaign that comes along that wants to really drive change. But
do you have a role? Have you got a title?
I would say that for me, I'm in my nature, I'm a doer. So I tend to go, and when I see things that need to be done, I do them and I take them on, and I will do them as well as I can. And if anyone else wants to do them, I will happily let them. But I think the hard thing is when you're making decisions, you hear these things that, super blues and all this sort of stuff. To me, we're all just Blues, and I don't think any one opinion in that group
no,
holds any more weight, and that's where it's hard to, like,
but
decisions are made in a uniformed way. Fast decisions are made when they have to be, and I would say, I mean, I don't mind saying that maybe because I'm active quite a lot, maybe make some decisions without everyone completely behind it.
But this is where people will call for...
This is where it's hard.
This is where... I mean, but this is where people will call for structure, though, because... And this is one thing I think you'll have to deal with, is that people will say, who's in charge? Why are they in charge?
Yeah.
Who elected them in charge?
Yeah.
Who's the board of trustees? Who's the secretary? Do you know what I mean? These are things that people will start asking, because when there's things in... We've seen this with, like, the Fans Forum. It's an elected body. It's like, well, who elects them to be elected? There's always going to be questions, and I think this is where, personally, I think this is where any group has to put that out there and get a structure, get a hierarchy, so that everyone. So a lot of people have a role. So you have a board, so that you have a set of people that can go. I know that person is a trustee and is the press officer or the secretary, or do you know what I mean? I think these things are very important. So people don't just go, I can just join this and I get me magic whistle and me membership starter pass.
And I feel good.
I think these things are really important, because
and it's good criticism, and that's the thing. Maybe in the past it's been criticisms felt personal, and for me it's not that way. Fully will take that on board, and I think it's something, that's what we've been trying to do. I think, like you said, we've rebranded from the 27 campaign to NSNOW.
You're gonna have to get this name right.
NSNOW, NSNOW is it was to professionalise. It's, with the release of the website, we tried to take it away from just being a Twitter group of people who look like they're just moaning on Twitter and stuff. Trying to professionalise is the name of the game, and it's, we've been 2 weeks since the rebrand, roughly. I think it was just before Boxing Day that we did it, and it's an evolving thing, and that's where I think going forward, criticisms like this, more than happy to take on and try and implement those things, where we can. Some people might not want to do it, and that's where we'll have to try and figure out how that works. But I think having that criticism and being able to take it the same way that we level at the club, that they can't take criticism, and that they will, blacklist Alan Stubbs for tickets and things just because he says that he doesn't quite like what they do. For me, that's not what we want to be, and if anyone has any criticism about the campaign, feel free to inbox me or the campaign. Let
me just ask you this then, because obviously you put the letter out, and obviously we signed it because, listen, we want the best for Everton Football Club, and we didn't see it as some kind of radical act. We saw it as wanting the best for our football club, and
exactly.
But for you, do you see yourself as someone who's trying to be an overarching group to where other people can look at and go, well, their purpose is to try and not get change, get dialogue with the club, and or do you see yourself as one of many groups? Because let me just clarify that, because I think one thing I do see is a lot of people who are, I've seen this, people who go, I've seen this all before, you're just one other group, and there's another group, and there's another group. Do you want to be someone who's seen as someone who can bring all different groups together, or are you just another group?
Yeah, it's difficult, because I don't think that any, like I said before, I don't think my voice holds any more weight than any other Blue that wants to talk about it. I would say the only difference is I'm willing to put in time that I might not necessarily have to try and make that happen. And if I would like to think that we can unite the groups under one banner. Not that everyone's going to rebrand to be We Support NSNOW or anything like that. But I want to do. Like I said before, I want to make this happen. So I'm going to carry on doing, and I hope that people can get behind it and support it, and the groups and like yourselves and things that will agree with what we're doing and try and change it. And if they don't, and anyone wants to do other groups, I'll probably support that too, because it's, for me, it's not just about, oh, we all have to support this one specific group. For me, we all just support Everton. That's what the overriding thing really is. We all just want the best for them. Yeah. And if it's one or if it's two, I mean, too many voices probably is a bit hard to then, like you say, it's hard for people to know.
People like having, there's two ways to look at this. There's people like having someone who they can follow and know that they are doing their best to create whatever change is needed. Yeah. But people also like people who'll do the hard work for them. I mean, let's get it right. It's human nature here. People like to go, I back those people, and maybe I'll just come and support them by just being there, being at a meeting, or saying, if anyone wants to do something, they're the people to see. Yeah. You know, they want someone to do the hard yards for them, because not everyone, listen, number one, not everyone is here. Not everyone's boots on the ground in Liverpool. No, people will be all over the world and say, those people are fighting for us. They're fighting our corner. I support those people. So I think there's a lot of people out there who and I think it's important. Actually, I mean, I do think it's important that there aren't millions of, I don't think that it's ever great if you've got, because to me that's still a fractured fan base. You want people who can, even if you've got different organisations, or different group, I still think you need one like an umbrella, or even just with that letter, someone who organises it, and then other people put their name to it, and someone who, because Saturday against Southampton, you're looking to do a sit-in, and that's again, it's very proactive. It's saying we're going to do something, and then other people being able to say they're doing that. We are going to, we support it, and we're going to push them. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So the sit-in, I mean, again, it's born out of all the criticisms that we've heard over the past year of, as we've already said, we dragged that team through last year and wanting to support the team. Evertonians want to support that team from minute one through to the minute we're 4-0 down against Brighton, and then maybe we're a bit iffy about whether we want to support them or not. But I think protest before the game and protest during the game, we've all heard, we don't want to affect the team. It's a game. We need 3. It's not like we're mid-table and we can go, well, 3 points doesn't really matter to us. Yeah. We need these 3 points. So that's where the sit-in came out of. We've seen sit-in protests before, and I think having the ability to support the team as much as we can throughout the 90 minutes and then have our voices heard afterwards. Originally, obviously, we planned this for the Arsenal game because, and I'm not saying that we won't do more after this one, but that was purely because it's on BT. There was going to be cameras there afterwards looking for things to film, and it would hopefully get quite a bit of media attention. Obviously, with the fan base feeling the way it does, we pulled that forward to Southampton because a lot of people messaged and said they wanted to do something, and that was the next available home game to do something. I know there's a lot of banners and stuff going to United as well, so I think it's essentially, it's just we're welcoming everyone to, after the Southampton game, stay in your seats. There's no one area that we'd love to just see the whole crowd essentially. Anyone who would like to air grievances, take banners.
That's the main. I mean, what is the message? What is the message? You want the owner or the board or anyone else to take from fans having a sit-in at the match, because what can happen is, I've been at all these sit-ins, I've covered them, I've been at them. People go, I can see what they're doing. I just don't quite understand why they're doing it or what they want to do. Or see, when you hear things like sack the board, right? Fans sing that. I get why they sing it. It doesn't quite. It's never made any sense, has it? Don't get me wrong. That's not a reason not to. It gets a message across, right? It doesn't, but it allows people to go, what are they talking about? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? What did he actually behind? What did he want? You can say it, and then behind it, you can say, this is why and that you can't always take that from a fan base. So what is the overarching message of what you want?
I mean, the message is essentially what we covered in the letter that we wrote yesterday, which is, this short window that we all heard of years ago now is I mean, it's all but closed, if not closed. Mr. Moshiri is the only person with any actual power in that club to change anything. And I know, there's people who would call for him to sell up if he's not going to change things, and I fully believe that too. If he's not prepared to change things, please look for someone who will, because to him this is a business, and I'm not saying that he came into it thinking that way, because I think we can all see he's putting a lot of his own money, and he's he's definitely put up in that way, and especially in the early days he seemed quite passionate about it, and but I think to him this is now a business, and to us it's our life. This is what we all love. It's our Saturdays that we want to just forget about everything else that's going on.
Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Sky want to put
every single day.
Yeah. But that's we all really. I don't want to be sat here doing saying we need to do this.
Listen, I don't want to be sitting here
and enjoy and
talking about defeats.
No,
I want to be sitting here. I want if Sky coming here, I want them to be coming in to talk about us on a great cup run or happy times. I don't. It's like it's Groundhog Day every year, isn't
every
it?
Year.
We're here and then what makes it worse is then other fans of other clubs say, yous are just moaners, or what do yous want, see, and this is why I asked that question, because you do get that thing of on social media of like, you're trying to get rid of another manager, and it's like, no, we're not. No one's trying to get rid of another manager.
No.
That's not but the message gets lost because it gets on national media, it gets on Sky, gets on BT, and they don't quite get the message right. They don't quite understand what the fans want.
Yeah.
They're not really listening. There's so many people out there who go, Bill Kenwright's an amazing guy, loves Everton. And it's like, yeah, he does love Everton. He might be an amazing guy. I don't know. I've never met him. I can't say personally whether he is. But stop confusing someone who's an amazing man and an amazing, whatever, theatre, director and everything else, producer.
Wonderful actor in Corrie.
Well, yeah, but all those things for actually being able to run a football club at 77 years of age.
Yeah.
Stop bringing into it how much he loves Everton and how much he did for Everton for this and that, and how he saved us from, Johnson, and how amazing it was with David Moyes when he had no money. And concentrate on exactly what's going now. And the voice of the fans does get lost. Yeah. And there could be people who witnessed that after the Southampton game and go, well, did he want with the manager or did he want with this? So it is important that message is very, very clear on what you want and what other people want from it.
Yeah. And like you say, on that, I would definitely refer back to the letter that we wrote yesterday, and just, we want positive change, and we want a dialogue open. I mean, the communication is a massive thing for us, just in general, not even just with us, just with fans in general. None of us deserve the club that we've got right now.
Yeah.
And there is no explanation from them as to why. There's no accountability, as I said to you before. In any other business, and I know football clubs aren't just businesses, but any other business, if something goes wrong with employees, you look up the ladder and go, well, why did they do that wrong? Well, it was because they didn't get the training from this guy. They didn't have the right budget for it. They didn't have this. They didn't have that. Our board doesn't seem to have any of that. And if they do, there's no evidence of it. They don't ever say, look, we know. Even with this strategic review, I feel like it's just a buzzword that they came up with. That's, we did this strategic review, but what changed? All right, we've got this, Kevin Threlfall, and fair play to him, he seems to, from evidence I can see, it worries me, this 120-point plan that was here. I mean, the fact that a Premier League football club needs a 120-point plan worries me a little bit, and all these new hires and things that we needed. But I'm not going to sit here and say that if there's change, we then are straight on them again. And,
but they're football decisions.
Exactly.
That's a football decision. Yeah. Kevin Threlfall was brought in. Marcel Brandsdorf, he left. The club had been decimated. the decision to bring Benitez in and he brought his own people in and he sacked people who have not been, by the way, people who've not been replaced yet at the foot, like head recruitments and all these kinds, still haven't replaced them, by the way. That's the football side of things.
Yeah.
What we've been talking about for a while, what you're definitely talking about is, what about the business side? What about the business that loses 100 million every year? What about a business that FFP-wise, means you have to go and sell your best player and you can't replace him? I think, that again is the thing where it's like when you get lazy journalists who go, well, if they've done this, it's like, well, yeah, but they're marking their own homework, these people, aren't they?
Exactly.
And I think that's why messaging is so important and why it's important. Certainly, listen, we take loads of stick. I don't take any notice. I've been called every name under the sun. It doesn't bother me. But I think it is important, definitely, that, and this is something I've definitely been critical of, is, fans turn on each other. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. It's a plight of social media. Why can't two people with different opinions on Everton have a conversation and then just go sound instead of it ending with one of them going, not bad. You know what I mean? Like I get people all the time DMing me going, oh, I thought I'd bring it in here because it was getting a bit like, and I'm like, mate, we're just having a chat. No one's. I don't think any less yet. I'm not. I mean, you might think less of me. But it's like, let's have. There's two, and I think this again would be one of my criticism. And don't get me wrong, it's kids with passion. It's kids who go home and away. Got loads of passion, who love this club, who've got probably mates who don't go anywhere to watch the other side, and but get the glory of what they've done, and think, I want some of that. I put the time and effort in this club. We've all put the time and effort in this club. We get very little out of it. And there's never any guarantees you're going to get anything out of your club. No. But you want to see it run the best way it can be.
Exactly. You want to see that at least they're trying. At least there is a plan. There is, I think, a culture. The word culture is used so much, but the culture inside Everton is one of, ironically, something that has definitely been levelled at what was the 27 campaign, one of secrecy and one of, although we know who these people are that do these jobs, there's still a lot of jobs that we don't know, what is, and I don't like to get personal things because I'm not like, this person's doing this and this wrong, but, Sharpie's on the board, and what is, I don't actually know, Prentice has gone in and I've not heard a peep from the...
just works for Everton.
I don't know, and maybe that's his role, but, there was a song and dance about them going into the club. Then tell us what it is that's happening and why, and what is the progress being made, and how have they made this club better?
Let me two final questions before we finish. Dialogue with the club. How would you like that to happen, and how can you see that happening?
I think, in an overall sense, I'd like to see. I'm not too worried if they don't reach out to us personally as a campaign, as long as things start to change, and that is shown out in the public, not just a strategic review that we never hear any results of. And I'm not saying these have to be in-depth details of this person did this at 2:00 today or anything like that, but give us some. Like we said before, all we want is hope. If you can just tell us, look, we understand that these things have gone wrong, and we understand this, and this, and this is how we're going to put them right. It's going to take 3 years, it's going to take 4 years, it's going to take a year, whatever. Not that we have that much time. But if they said these things, I don't think the feeling towards the board and the club in general would be as negative as it is. And this is probably the worst I've ever known it. I think we just need to, we all just want some sort of hope. We just want to see that I said it before in another conversation I was having, I want to see some leadership from the club, just someone to stand up at the club and just say, yeah, look, we've done wrong, but we're going to go and change it now. We're going to try. This is what we're going to do. Again, I'm not saying you have to tell us every detail, because there's things that you know, like we've seen with transfers and stuff, you don't always want to tell everything out in public, but give us something to hold on to and some hope. That's all
Yeah.
any of us need.
I mean,
and
the
want.
club would probably point to the stadium for that, but you know.
But what's the use in it? You know, great. We'll have a great new stadium, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
It'll be in the Championship at this rate, and that's just disgraceful.
And just finally on you. On NS Now. It's called NS Now. I'm just telling you all
decided.
now. He can't decide. I'm decided. It's called NS Now. Right. Just on NS Now. Any plans to have like any open meetings or anything? Because I do think this is really important as well, by the way. I'm just throwing my just little 2 pence in here. Open meetings in an open place, Casa, city centre, Tuesday, 8 o'clock. No, I'm just saying, any plans for something like that? Because I do think that's really important that you put yourself in a situation where you can invite people to come in, invite the local media, the national media, people like us in, have guest speakers saying why the club is you're right and they're wrong. Yeah. Have you got? Are you looking you can do something?
Yeah, 100% been spoken about, and something that we 100% will do, because I think, like we said with the letter yesterday, and not that we allow anything, asking, facilitating, that's the right word. Any blue whatsoever, whether you were a part of a group, whether you were just one person, whatever, to come and sign that letter and say, look, I back this as well. I want as many blues as possible to get involved, and to 100% a big open meeting in a big area, and get as many people in as possible would be something we definitely want to do, and something that will make happen. Definitely.
Brilliant. If you want to know more about it from Zack and from NS Now, let us. What's your Twitter account for NS Now?
NS Now is NSNO_W.
There you go.
If anyone wants to reach out to me personally, Everton ZCK.
We'll put all these in the description and on Twitter and stuff as well. So, if you want to get involved, or you want to know more about it, or you want to air your grievances, because we've got to cater for both sides here. Yeah, or just want to let them, or if there's anyone out there who wants to put the name to the letter or whatever, or wants to know more about sit-ins or potential meetings, reach out to the guys. They'll say exactly what's going on and how they want to make Everton better going forward. Big thanks to Zack for coming in. Let us know all about it. There you go. Give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you want more great videos, join us over on Toffee TV Premier. Thanks for watching. See you later.